enough to overcome a slow start by the defense to come out with a 34-29 victory. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh. Chris McPherson joined alongside former Eagles linebacker Ike Reese. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. Of all the scenarios we could have figured coming into this game, we did not think about a last-second Giants attempt there to possibly win the game coming to fruition. Fortunately, the defense able to stand tall, struggled throughout most of the day. But, Ike, there are no style points when it comes to victories. The Eagles are 12-2 now on the season, and they have clinched a first-round bye in the playoffs.
Are you surprised this game came down to the wire, Chris?
I am surprised, yes.
I mean, this is what the Eagles and Giants do to us, especially up there in the Meadowlands. Great victory by the Eagles. It certainly wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination. Plenty of coaching points I'm sure the coaches will get through this week, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. But like you mentioned a second ago, this isn't college football, so style points don't matter here. You get the W. The Eagles have clinched a bye week. That's certainly what they wanted to do. Still in the hunt for clinching home field advantage. Great W by the team. Nick Foles in his first start since returning to the Eagles. Flawless performance. I don't know if you could ask for anything more from him.
No.
4 touchdowns thrown, no turnovers, more importantly, did what he needed to do. And late in the game, they were able to put 3 points on the board, a much-needed 3 points late in the game to sort of give the Eagles a 5-point lead and force the Giants to have to score a touchdown. Like I said, not a thing of beauty, but what do you expect when the Eagles and the Giants get together?
I'm just glad there were no miracles. That was the biggest thing for me. We do not need to be on the opposite end of a miracle with the way the Eagles season has gone to this point. So it really took all 3 phases. Nick Foles leading the way on offense with 4 touchdowns. The defense struggled throughout most of the day, but they got some key plays, including Ronald Darby with a huge interception in the second quarter to kind of bring the Eagles to life after they were down by a big deficit. And special teams really coming through huge, especially when you factor in the Eagles won by 5 points, okay? Derek Barnett blocked an extra point attempt. Malcolm Jenkins blocked a field goal attempt. That's 4 points right there. At the end of the game, when Eli Manning is going for on 4th down, an incomplete pass to tight end Evan Ingram in the back of the end zone, it could have just been a field goal attempt that could have put the Giants ahead. That made all the difference in the world.
And you forgot about the block punt by
I was working my way.
They set up a touchdown early for the Eagles to get back in this game. You rarely see 3 blocks from a special teams unit in any game. So that was certainly spectacular from the third phase of the game. And 3 much-needed blocks. I mean, these aren't just cushion points the Eagles were able to get. They needed all of those blocks that they had. I mentioned the block punt by Camus helped set up a touchdown to get the Eagles back into the game early in that first half. The block extra point, forcing the Giants to go for 2 later, which also cost them because they didn't get the extra point conversion. Then the block field goal. So really an all-around effort from all 3 phases. Can't leave out Darby's interception that helped set up the touchdown. I don't know if it was the block punt or the interception by Darby that allowed the Eagles to take the lead 21-20. But those 2 plays in the first half by the special teams unit and the defense were certainly huge.
This Eagles team, the word we've used all year long has been resilient.
Yeah.
And once again, they had to prove that resiliency by falling 20-7 in the first half of this ball game. The first three drives for the Giants all result in touchdowns, and you're saying to yourself, this is a Giants offense that doesn't have its top playmakers in Brandon Marshall and Odell Beckham Jr. They've struggled on offense throughout the course of the entire season. They scored just 10 points last week in a hard-fought effort against the Dallas Cowboys. You figure if the Eagles defense comes to play, they should be able to handle this team with ease. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. What did you see from the Eagles defense, especially with the fact that it's the same Giants offense that we've seen throughout the course of the years? Eli Manning gets rid of the ball quickly. You see a lot of slants, some slant and goes, obviously, some double moves there to get the Eagles defensive backs off kilter, but nothing different from this Giants offense than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, they ran the hurry-up offense. A lot of what they did to get back in that first game of the Eagles and Giants, week 3 of the season. And let's give Eli some credit. He was on today. I mean, Eli is still a future Hall of Fame quarterback, and when he gets into a rhythm, he can start to pick you apart. And that's really what you saw happen today. Their game plan was was try to get the ball in the hands of their receivers quick, force these Eagles defensive backs to make tackles in open space. And that's what you saw today was missed tackles at times. You saw poor technique by the DBs, particularly Jalen Mills and Ron Darby early in that first half that led to big plays in the passing game or led to pass interference calls, holding calls that extended drives. I just didn't see the mental sharpness that we've become accustomed to seeing with this Eagles defense. In the last few weeks, it's been off a little bit. You know, really since that Chicago Bears game, the Eagles defense have shown that they can be exposed at times if the quarterback is hot. And the last three quarterbacks that they've faced, and Russell Wilson, Jared Goff, and Eli Manning, have really had their way when it comes to the passing game. So that's something they're certainly going to have to clean up. I thought the offense operated with precision, but just too many plays on the defensive side giving up. And some of them weren't even physical plays. I mean, just mental mistakes being made out there. You know, biting on the double pump move. You got to realize as a defensive back, when the team is setting you up with quick slants, it's a reason why they're doing that. They're going to hit you with the sluggo, the slant and go route, and that's what Ron Darby was hit with, and that's what Jalen Mills was beat with for a touchdown. And I thought after that, the Eagles secondary sort of lacked a little bit of confidence, almost as if they wanted to play a little more conservative as opposed to being aggressive. And Eli getting rid of the ball quick was part of their game plan, obviously, because he doesn't want to have to sit back there and hold the ball against this Eagles front four. And they showed they can get after him at times today.
I felt, though, after the second quarter, once they fell 20-7, I thought the Eagles defense bounced back.
They settled down.
They settled down a little bit. Then they came out in the second half, and it seemed like the Eagles had established the momentum. You thought they had control of the game, and you kind of started to, as a fan, take a backseat, be like, all right, they're going to get this one. They're going to be okay. But fourth quarter, just like in that first meeting back in week 3, the Giants kept chipping away, and they never went away. What do you think was a change there from early in the game, defense struggling, middle of the game, they're bouncing back, then all of a sudden at the end, they need the fourth quarter stop there, and then they had to make sure that the last few seconds there that the hook and ladder play, the miracle play, didn't take place.
Without being privy to the play calls,
Certainly.
It just seemed as if we sort of played not to get beat over the top. You know, Patrick Robinson going out in the second half in that fourth quarter, forcing Malcolm to play a little more slot corner as opposed to being back, also may have hurt the team a little bit. But they just really, honestly, Chris, they haven't looked the same over the last 3 weeks in the secondary part. I mean, you're getting pass rush up front, but if the quarterback is getting rid of the ball quick, you got to be able to come up and make tackles. And there was also just too many mental errors. I mean, jumping off sides on fourth down when the Giants are out there to punt the ball to extend their drive, that led to a touchdown.
Huge play there.
That led to a touchdown when it looked like the Eagles had the game in hand. I mean, they're up 31-23, about to get the ball back after just scoring a touchdown, and then you give the Giants life by jumping off sides. They're able to take advantage of that, go in there and get a touchdown. And then, a dangerous team is a team that has nothing to lose. The Giants are sitting there at 2-11. They're going to let it fly, and that's really what you saw today as a team from the Giants to play loose. This is the best they've looked offensively all year long. You know, I don't know if they scored
Except
20.
week 3.
Right? Except for week 3. Exactly. So, you know, when they had the little run in the fourth quarter in week 3, that's really what you saw from them today. They went back to whatever was successful for them then, and they implemented that in the game today.
So, key note here, Rasul Douglas, the rookie who has been very good this season, a healthy scratch today. The Eagles trying to get some more help on special teams with Brian Brayman, who was signed earlier this week. He was active for the game. So special teams coming through in a huge way. Would have been nice having Douglas out there, especially when I was thinking to the one Eli Manning pass to the end zone. Ronald Darby's in coverage, has a chance in the end zone to go up and make the interception. You're like, Rasul's come through with those throughout the course
Well, you
of the
can't
season.
coach height.
You can't get, no,
Yeah,
can't whatsoever.
So Rasul, who's about 3 or 4 inches taller than Ron Darby, may have been able to pull that down. But you look at those numbers, man. You're talking about 420-some yards passing for Eli today, over 500 yards of total offense. I haven't looked at the stats from the previous games all year long, so I don't know. I would imagine this is the most yardage this defense has given up all
This is
year.
probably close to last week. I have to look back to last week.
Yeah, that's right,
Jared
the
Goff
Rams,
and Todd Gurley, what the Rams did.
Yeah.
But again, back-to-back performances, and you think about the playoffs now, you're going to likely see Minnesota Vikings, who ran up and down the field on the Cincinnati Bengals today. That's the one reason why the Eagles don't have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, as Minnesota took care of its business today. You have New Orleans with Drew Brees, obviously a veteran quarterback there. Cam Newton, who's been to the Super Bowl, so he knows what to do with the football. You know, Russell Wilson's on the outside looking in at this point, so
bad teams don't go to the playoffs. So anybody you face in the playoffs, and we left out Atlanta, who could potentially get in there.
The Rams could be a rematch there.
We got to tighten up on the defensive side of the ball. We got 2 games left to go. And, you know, they're going to get it fixed. I have to have confidence that they will get it fixed. You know, you don't play as well as they played on defense throughout the year. You know, this was the 4th-ranked defense coming into this game. They have to get these things fixed because, quite frankly, they still have all the personnel there that's been there all year. I mean, they've added Ron Darby to the mix, and so you would think that should be a positive for this defense. But for whatever reason, over the last couple of weeks, we just have not looked the same on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, the strength of this defense is the line.
Yes.
So when you're having the quick passing game, kind of negating the pass rush.
It neutralizes it.
So you're neutralizing one of the strengths of this football team right there. So that's something that's, you know, the Eagles have to figure out how to get the defensive line more involved when you know the opposing teams and offenses are going to be trying to get rid of the ball quickly to pick apart the secondary. How key, now that the Eagles have the first round bye, how key will that week off be? Huge. I mean, that seems like maybe is a fatigue starting to set in with this defense? Is something along those lines where maybe you get that week off, you get your legs back under you, and you're going to be fresher for when you get the postseason rolling?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That bye week is huge. Not only for those reasons, but that's just one less tough game you have to win to try to get to the Super Bowl. Let's not forget what the goal here is, and the objective is to get to the Super Bowl. And you want to play as few games as possible. So getting that bye week basically says all you have to do is win 2 and you're in. And hopefully if they get another win next week, we're talking about home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And you ask how huge that off week is, it is big time. It's very difficult to make that run from the wild card weekend to get to the Super Bowl. So having that bye week, it doesn't guarantee you anything, but it certainly is huge. And it's just another week to sort of sharpen up on everything, to allow Nick Foles to continue to get more comfortable in the offense, to gain more of a rhythm with some of the receivers. As good of a day as he had today, there were still some times where he seemed to be on one page and maybe Alshon Jeffrey was on a different page. So that extra week allows you to really sharpen up in your passing game and also to get our running game going. So it's big time.
Indeed. So what's good for the Eagles is that they had 3 straight games on the road, against Seattle, Los Angeles, and New York, okay? 2 teams bound for a playoff spot, the 3rd, a division rival. You come out 2-1. So now you have your 2 final games of the regular season at home, Oakland on Christmas night, and Oakland may have nothing to play for itself. Then Dallas, of course, they're still in the mix right now. They're actually playing Oakland tonight, so Dallas might be out as well. So the last 2 games could be against teams like the Giants. They're just playing for pride and trying to play out the string at this point. So
and those can be dangerous teams.
It could be dangerous, but to me, with Oakland, you're going across the country, West Coast to East Coast, a team
Christmas night.
Christmas night, you're away from your family. Hopefully, you're cross your fingers, that could be a pack-it-in type of game right there. But now you're guaranteed then the week off for the wild card, then that first game, the divisional round, will be at the Link. So right now, 3 consecutive home games for the Eagles.
And we can't overlook the fact that this was their 3rd straight road game.
Yes.
That's difficult. You know, they were able to come out of this thing 2 out of 3, and that's certainly huge, winning the last 2. But if you look back at schedules of teams around the league, if you're saddled with the task of playing 3 straight road games, that 3rd straight road game is very difficult to get. You've been away from home for a long time. You don't necessarily have the energy. Luckily for the Eagles, it was just a bus trip up the turnpike. But still, it's the 3rd straight road game against a team that has nothing to play for other than pride. And it seemed as if the Eagles were just a little flat today. Didn't have necessarily the same energy.
Defensively, I thought so. Offense, I mean, the offense carried the defense for most of this game. I mean, the Giants go down. It's their first opening drive touchdown of the entire season. Eagles are down 6-0 after Derek Barnett blocked the extra point. And you're like, already, Nick Foles has to come out swinging. Okay, there's no easing back into it.
You won't be able to ease into this thing. We needed a touchdown immediately.
Exactly. Which is interesting because usually the Eagles win the coin toss. They want the ball on offense. So you can tell the Eagles felt, let's get the defense on the field. Let's pin the Giants' offense back since it struggled all year and give Nick some good field position. Instead, he's down 6-0, but what does he do? Marches down the field, and then leads the way for a touchdown. Overall, 4 touchdowns on the day for Nick Foles, the most since he had the 7 touchdown performance against the Oakland Raiders back in the 2013 season. You look at the red zone numbers there and the box score, 4 out of 6. The one thing was, how would he do in situational football? Third down, a little off compared to previous weeks with Carson Wentz under center, but third down, still strong though, but red zone, outstanding job by him, making sure that when they got down there, they converted those opportunities into touchdowns, because that really made the difference in today's game. But to me, Nick Foles did everything and more you could have asked of him coming into this first game as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, and this is why I had the confidence when, Carson went down, as difficult as that is to have to swallow. But having Nick Foles go in there, a guy who's familiar with this offense, certainly enough talent around him, wasn't necessarily going to have to shoulder the load and carry the offense all day. And I love the play designs, the play calling. It's really what has allowed Carson Wentz to be the front runner for the MVP. We don't give enough credit to these coaches that dial up the plays, particularly in the red zone. This is the best red zone offense in the NFL, and it showed itself to be true again today. 4 out of 6 with touchdowns. Opportunity really to go 6 for 6. I mean, there was a good chance they could have easily gone 6 for 6 in the red zone and got touchdowns. But it's the reason why I have full confidence that this offense wouldn't necessarily miss a beat, because I love the way the plays have been called all year long, particularly in the red zone. They seem to have found a nice rhythm down there. They know the plays to dial up, who to get the ball to, whether it's Alshon Jeffrey, whether it's Nelson Aguilar, whether it's Zach Ertz. You're talking about 3 formidable types of weapons that can hurt you on any given play. That makes it very difficult for a defense to stop you when you don't know who to take away in the red zone. Nick basically has his choice.
4 touchdowns, 4 different receivers. The first one to Alshon Jeffrey, who I thought had an outstanding performance. Very first play from Nick Foles, a throw to Alshon, got the ball out of his hands quickly, get the playmaker involved early on, and then that touchdown throw in the back of the end zone. Great job by Jeffrey, making sure he doesn't go out of bounds or a little question of that. Did a phenomenal job with the footwork, but Nick doing a great job of finding the open man back there and feeding the ball to him to get them on the board. Again, probably the thing that stands out to me the most, no turnovers on the day.
The biggest.
That was a huge thing. That was the one thing that you wanted to watch from Nick Foles, was would he take care of the football? He had the one fumble when Olivier Vernon came off the edge. Luckily, the Eagles were able to recover it. Outside of that, he kept the ball out of harm's way throughout the course of the day.
Didn't try to do too much, stayed within the framework of the game. Hey, if something's not there, it's okay to punt. And that's what Nick talked about last week in his press conference when he said he's ready for this moment. He knows what to do. And sometimes you got to just allow the game to unfold and not try to win it in the first half of a game or the first quarter of a game. You got to give yourself a chance late in the game. So you don't need to feel pressure to have to score touchdowns or points every time you have the ball. When there wasn't a play there, Nick was able to either throw the ball away or he didn't have many sacks today. No. I think he only had 1 sack today. So that was the big key, being a heady veteran, understanding that you can't win the game early, but you can lose it early with some of your decisions that you make. And that's why it's a huge plus to have a guy like Nick Foles as your backup. You basically inserted a starting quarterback. When you look at the amount of starts that are under his belt, the pressure of playing in this city with the expectations, he's led a team to the playoffs. The moment was not going to be too big for Nick Foles, and I was fully confident that he would come in and play within himself and allow these weapons around him to sort of do what they've been doing all year, which is make plays.
We even saw a little mobility from him in the pocket. A little Wentz-like move there where it was Pierre-Paul, I believe, was bearing down on him on the opening drive, and he just steps right out of the way. And is
subtle
able to,
shoulder dip.
Yeah. It's those little things. He was able to buy time, rolling out of the pocket, almost had a nice play to Torrey Smith along the sideline when he bought time with his feet there. Those are the types of things where in the coming weeks he gets more time in practice with the receivers, develops that chemistry. He's going to make those types of plays. So overall, did a great job distributing the ball, spreading it around so you can't key in on one guy. You look at how the Eagles were able to take advantage on the Burton touchdown where 2 defenders bared down on Alshon Jeffrey. Also, Trey Burton's wide open. It's not like Trey Burton's a guy that you can just leave alone or, leave on cover for crying out loud. So that right there shows just the great play design by the coaches. You saw the Giants defense trying to key in on taking away certain guys from the Eagles offense, but Nick Foles made the Eagles pay using that experience, did a great job of getting rid of the ball quickly when the blitz came. Some of the throws were a little off. I know there was a couple to Ertz where it's like if the timing was just a little off or the ball placement a little bit better. They have some big gains to beat the blitz there, but I think in the second half, that one catch by Alshon Jeffrey where he has the ball extended was the only place where the ball could be thrown. The touchdown to Zach Ertz, I thought, was another example of great ball placement. Just overall, just great job running the offense and just never seemed to, pressure himself when the Eagles were trailing big in the first half. I think there were a lot of people who are wondering, can Nick Foles lead a type of comeback, where you feel like if Carson Wentz were in the game, this offense could score enough points. We just hadn't seen that from Nick Foles to this point, and we saw that today, that even if the Eagles are trailing, that this offense is still good enough with Nick Foles as a quarterback to be able to put up points and still remain the highest scoring offense in the NFL.
And it's going to get better as Nick continues to play and he gets more and more reps out there. He becomes more and more comfortable with his receivers, and the timing gets better. I caution everyone, just think back to the early part of this season when Carson and Alshon couldn't necessarily get their chemistry going. It takes a while, and that's sort of what you're going to see from Nick Foles. It's unfair to Nick to expect him to come in and be clicking as well as Carson had been clicking all year long. I mean, Carson had played, 13 games to get to the level in which he was very comfortable with everyone. Nick's only been in there for his first start. Doesn't have 13 games to get ready to go. He doesn't
have the practice reps of 13 games either. This is the first week where he's getting the practice reps. The Eagles in practice, they give all the first-team reps to the top quarterback. And Carson Wentz is getting all the snaps.
Yeah, and that's the standard operating procedure for most teams around the league is your first-string quarterback is going to take 90% of the snaps throughout the week in practice with the first team. So the backup guys don't necessarily get a whole lot of reps. Sometimes they're running the scout team. So what we saw from Nick today, I thought was perfect. Again, it's going to get better next week. If they're forced to play in that final game against the Cowboys, I think you'll see him be even better as far as chemistry with the wide receivers and the timing and that sort of thing will be there. So I feel very comfortable with the system. And not saying that Nick is a system quarterback. I just feel comfortable with the system that has allowed this team to be the number one scoring team in this league. You put the backup quarterback in there, and they still put up 34 points today with virtual ease. I mean, that's what they were able to do because you have great play design, you got great play calling, and you got playmakers at your disposal on the outside, in the slot, in the backfield if you want to give the ball to the running backs. I mean, those type of things are a quarterback's dream. These things are a quarterback's dream when he's running an offense. Don't put a ton of pressure on him to do all the work. Just dial up the plays, and all he has to do is get the ball out of his hands quick like the plays are designed to do. And like I said, it looked good today. I think it's going to look even better next week as he gets more and more repetition with the players around him.
And so when it comes to Nick Foles also, it was interesting to see how Doug Pederson was still aggressive with the play call. That was the one thing I think we all wondered. In the fourth down situation, would he still go for it like he had with Carson Wentz all season? They went for it, and I think they kind of showed their hand early. With LeGarrette Blount in the backfield, they put someone in motion, and all of a sudden kind of really called it. They're going to have a run play. Giants defense, credit to them for being able to key in.
Snacks Harrison is hard to move, man.
It is. But the whole defense was pretty much in the backfield. I mean, Blount didn't have a chance, on that play. But you still even saw a quarterback sneak there from Nick Foles, which you didn't expect to see to get the first down there late in the game. So it seemed like Doug didn't deviate too much from the way he would call the game with Carson Wentz, which I think is something that was very interesting from that standpoint in terms of, how different would this offense be. And there really weren't a ton of changes with the offense.
You can't. And I was glad Doug went into this game with the same aggressive approach, because when you're facing the backup quarterback, what the defense is going to do is try to force him to beat you throwing the football. So.
All right, we're going to send it now to MetLife Stadium. Head coach Doug Pederson set to address the media.
All right.
Doug, can you walk us through your decision to kick 3 points instead of
go with 5 points? go with 5 points, and touchdown has to beat you.
Doug, talk about the adversity that you guys face in this game down and clinching a first-round bye.
Well, yeah, first of all, anytime, that's what I told the team at the end of the game in the locker room, that, anytime the Giants and Eagles play, it's always going to be a battle, regardless of records, throw everything out, and it becomes a sort of a slugfest. And, 2 weeks in a row for our team to really find a way to, a week ago, play well enough, and then come back this week and really don't play great, but still find a way to win the game. Players have made plays all year. They continue to make plays, but plenty of mistakes to go around that we got to definitely clean up moving forward.
Complete shots seemed to be an issue throughout the day today, but it hadn't been at all the rest of the season. Is that attributable to?
Really, no, it wasn't. Nothing on Nick. Nothing on, getting plays in. A lot of times, if you notice too, just our overall energy, just getting guys back to the huddle a little bit. We just I gotta do a better job during the week of coaching that up and making sure our guys get back to the huddle in time. And the other thing too, and when there's chunk type plays too, that clock's moving, and we just got to be a little more sense of urgency in those situations.
What was your assessment of Nick's play?
I thought he played well, really well. I mean, I'm sure there's some things that he would like to do over. Obviously, each game is going to be that way, but I thought he handled himself extremely well. A lot of poise back there. Took some shots today and bounced up and did a nice job.
You concerned at all about the defense? Because they said earlier in the week they didn't like how they played against the Rams, and then today gave up a lot of yards to the Giants team that hadn't been putting up there.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not concerned. I mean, these guys understand. I mean, they really do. If you're in that dressing room a few minutes ago, you know, the players know. They got to clean some things up, obviously, and we can't have 10 penalties and expect to win too. And then some, we couldn't get off the field on third down. That's always been something that we've kind of been good at on defense. And but I'm not concerned.
As far as special teams, a blocked field goal, blocked extra point, blocked punt, did you see something going into the game? Or was it just something that happened over the course of the game?
Well, Phipps studies the protections and had a couple different wrinkles in there. And then, Barnett's blocked a couple already this season and got one. Malcolm got one, I believe. And then just the rush on the punt, was just a thing of beauty. Executed well, the scheme, and just things to kind of change it up. And like I said, Phipp does a good job of understanding protection and designing some rushes to do that.
Doug, what have you played 3 games in a row on the road, stayed out on the West Coast, lost your starting quarterback, and you won 2 out of 3. What have you learned about your team over the past 3 weeks? Yeah,
it's it's a tight group. It's a real tight group. It's a family atmosphere. This is a band of brothers. Those are just not words. I mean those guys really believe that, and coaches and players really buy into everything that we're doing. We've had a tough stretch, these last 3 weeks, but to go 2-3, or 2-1 rather, in these last 3 games, I think it's just a credit to the players, the coaches, and we still have everything right in front of us. Obviously, got a great opportunity Christmas night to do some more in the postseason. So. Get a bit longer week, get the guys rested and ready to go.
Doug, what was the game plan coming in offensively in terms of balance? I mean, did you feel like you had to run more, and pass more, despite the calls for you to run more?
Well, for me going into it and kind of the offensive game plan too was just to continue to do the things we've been doing all season. And we tailored a couple things for Nick, obviously, but in the passing game. But really, I wanted to maintain the aggressiveness offensively. Again, too, you want to try to establish the run best you can and get that thing going, and then play action pass. But we got down so fast that again, there was no panic. We just one play at a time and worked ourselves back into it and won the game.
As a follow-up to that, it was a 2-touchdown deficit or a 13-point deficit there in the first half. What was the conversation? Were there adjustments made on defense? Did you think you just needed a few more drives? What was that like?
No, I mean, really, we just had to make a play. We couldn't get off the field. I think it would, their first 5 third downs, I think, they converted, and they were, what was the number? Third down. 10 for 18. I mean, there's your story right there. You just can't get off the field, and you just got to make a play somehow. And we had some secondary penalties, and just couldn't get off the field. And those are things that are critical errors that then we had offsides on a punt return. That gave them a new set of downs. So you can't do that thing. You can't do it. You gotta be smart, know the situation, obviously, and we got it. We gotta get it fixed.
4 red zone touchdown passes, and you guys have had success down there all season. And it's not like you've even missed a beat with Nick in there. I mean, what has been the secret to your success inside the red zone?
I really don't think there's a secret. I just think it's just the execution of the players. I mean, we spend time during the week on that, and it's been a really an area of focus for us all season long. Off season, started in the off season, and through training camp, and you get guys like Alshon and Ertz, and these guys are making plays down there. There are a couple big targets that you can go to. Trey Burton's had a couple of nice games here back to back, and we got to continue to run the football down there. So, yeah, it's something that we spend a lot of time on, obviously during the week, and just comes down to the execution of the players.
What was it feel like in the locker room and during the game without Carson, who's an MVP candidate? I mean, were there guys looking around saying who's going to lead us, or was it Nick fill that role? What was it like? How was it different this week versus the last 13?
Yeah, I'm sure Carson probably reached out and to all his players, and offensively probably wished them well, but there was no, because they spent the whole week with Nick, so there might have been a little bit of that, like, okay, how are we going to play? What's going to happen to start the game? But we just go right down the field, and Nick had the hot hand early and just kind of maintained it throughout the game. And really, I think this was just it's a great win, not only for the team but for Nick too, and for the guys.
Was it important for Nick to have a lot of plays called for him early? It seemed like it was. We kind of expected, okay, you're going to run the ball a lot, protect him, and your offensive line is what it is. It seemed like there was a concerted effort to either not stray or maybe even emphasize the pass to get Nick sort of into the offense to establish that identity. Was that part of your thinking during the week?
That was part of my thinking, and to go tempo, in the first quarter, to kind of hurry things up a little bit and move down march down the field. It settles your quarterback down, it settles your offensive line down, and really kind of gets everybody into rhythm. And we did that a couple of times in the game tonight or this afternoon. And I just my gut was, I'm gonna maintain my aggressiveness. I just, as a play caller, I didn't want to take a step back, and to go, okay, we got to do this, we got to run the ball more, I didn't want to do that, and I told the team that, that I was going to stay aggressive and play calling and still push the ball down the field and take shots when we had them, and then still do the run game. So.
Why did you go with Chance over Isaac, and how did you think Chance played?
Well, I got to evaluate the film, obviously, but I think just overall he got edged a couple of times today. But after I watch the film, I can give you a better evaluation, tomorrow. But I think overall, pretty well.
Follow up to staying aggressive, as Marcus said. Is that a message to the team as well? Because you said during the week nothing changes, but you can say that and lose an MVP. Was that a conscious decision to show everybody like we're moving forward, nothing changing?
You have to. I mean, it's been this way all season. So we lost our quarterback, our left eye. I mean, the injuries we've had and we've been faced with, but we're 12-2 for a reason, and I've got to maintain that edge. The players have got to maintain that edge. It's too hard to win, in this league, and every team is good. I mean, you saw it today, and I trust the guys. Bottom line is I trust the players. I trust the way we practice during the week, the way the guys prepare, and as a play caller, it gives you a lot of confidence to go in and be aggressive like that.
In talking to them after this one, what was the message?
Well, the message was, first of all, congratulations, and did the whole thing. We're slowly checking boxes. NFC East a week ago, and then a bye and a home game now, check the box, but there's still everything's in front of us. And I just challenged them, that we can't play like this and win in the postseason, obviously. Can't play like this and expect to win every week, you got to come prepared, and you got to come. When I say prepared, I think from a mental standpoint, that emotion, that sort of sense of urgency and that dominating swagger that you want to see your team come out of the dressing with, and that was kind of the message, today. Happy for the guys again, found a way to win. We hung in there and 12-2. All right.
Thanks, Doug.
Who else is coming in? Nick Foles.
All right, head coach Doug Pederson addressing the media. Isn't the happiest after that? And you can understand. Look, he's thrilled because they check another box, as he said. They've got the division title wrapped up. They have first-round bye now. They're going to have a home playoff game in January, first time since the 2013 season, when, of course, Nick Foles was the quarterback. So great for all of us that we can start, playing our calendars and knowing that weekend of the 16th and 17th, I believe,
That's right.
that there's going to be a playoff game. Outside of that, though, there's a lot, like you said at the beginning of the show, that he'll be able to show the players this week when it comes to making mistakes and, kind of tweaking the details and saying, if we want to win in the playoffs, you cannot perform at this level.
It's the best of both worlds for the coaches, because they get the win, which is obviously the number one goal. But at the same time, there are plenty of coaching points to take away from this game, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I thought Doug handled that press conference perfectly. You look at his his mood after the game. That's befitting of a coach who knows they were lucky to get a win today, because you don't necessarily win football games when you give up the points the way that the defense gave up points today.
Okay, so we're going to wait to hear from quarterback Nick Foles in just a little bit over at MetLife Stadium. One thing to note, the run game, okay? We all wondered how that would be impacted by the loss of Carson Wentz and Nick Foles coming to the starting lineup. It seems to me like Jay Ajayi has established himself as the guy, and they're expanding his role more and more. Had two huge plays in the third quarter, one on a run, another on a screen pass. It seems like to me that Jay Ajayi is firmly establishing himself as the guy. So, but before we talk about the run game, let's send it back to MetLife Stadium where Nick Foles is standing by.
When you get out there, it's just kind of business as usual since you've done it so many times.
There's you get the butterflies for sure. I think any game you ever play in, you get that excitement because it's a big stage. There's a lot going on. But once you get on the field, you just play ball. You live in the moment, and there's just something that comes out of you that you just go out there and you just play.
Doug said that he went up tempo early with you. Was that something that made you and the offense comfortable, and you're able to have effectively engineer that?
It's just something we do. It's a part of our offense. Coach Pederson loves mixing that in, and you see it a lot more in the NFL now, just to throw the defense off, and we really like to do it. So yeah, it's one of those things that can get you into a rhythm. You can get some, quick long gains that help a lot.
How important was it for you to get this win under your belt now that you've got this team the rest of the way?
Huge. Just getting back out there playing a full game on the road in New York. NFC East, it doesn't matter what's going on in the season or what, it's always going to be a battle. New York played a great game, came down to the end. The time we played them before was the same way. But to come here and face a bunch of different things, have different guys step up, special teams makes plays, defensive makes plays, offense, and it's like we switched off all throughout the game, but we stuck together, and we had some adversity early, so it was a great game to come out and get a win.
Nick, down 2 touchdowns, what was the key to kind of the offense keeping its composure and not trying to get it all back at once?
I think at that point, most important thing is not to press, because you can only score 6 points, and then whatever you choose to do after that. So really just say, hey, can't force it, live in the moment, read the plays out. Obviously you want to be aggressive at times, but just not worry. We knew we were going to stick together, and guys were going to make plays, and just did it one thing at a time and just sort of leaned on each other, and that was the big message, and that's sort of everyone's mindset.
Doug said he wanted to kind of send a message to the team that he's not taking a step back with his play calling, we have to lean on the run. What did that mean to you psychologically and everything that was going on in the field?
I think somebody might be getting a call. No, you're good. I think the big thing is with him coming out and just saying he's not changing anything, I mean, it just says a lot about his confidence in me, his confidence in the players in the offense, and that's sort of been the message this whole year is guys have had to step up. But it's just the atmosphere that's created that, I mean, we've had a lot of injuries, and I know I've talked about it, but the guys that are injured are still there. It's not like they're not a part of the team, so they're still creating that atmosphere that when things do go wrong, guys don't blink. I mean, I've stressed, like, Carson's still going to be a huge part of this team every step of the way, no matter what, and so are every single guy that's injured. So that's a special thing because it doesn't always happen that way, and all those guys have helped create the atmosphere in Philly.
Carson FaceTimed you guys right after surgery. Did he make his presence felt today at all?
Yeah, I mean, we have a group text, Nate, him, and I mean, we're together all the time, and definitely, you know, send me a text before the game. I haven't had a chance to look at my phone, but just wishing us luck. You know, he wants to be here so bad. He's one of the greatest competitors I've played with, and, you know, going out there getting this win, I know he's really excited.
Any X's and O's suggestions in that text, or was it just basically good luck?
I'll keep that personal. But.
Did you feel like rust at all early on?
I mean, there's definitely some things when I go back and watch it that I can clean up, absolutely. I think the big thing was you just keep playing. When something does go wrong or you miss a throw or maybe the decision wasn't what I wanted, that's why we go back to film. But, yeah, I can absolutely get better. There's a lot of work to be improved on, but it's the beautiful thing. I'm going to have a day to improve it. I'm going to just continue to do that. And we have so many great guys on this team that have that same mindset.
It was 4 touchdowns, 0. The picks, none there. Of those two, what mattered most to you? Which one mattered more to you?
You know, they're all great. I think you just really just getting that first one back. The one that Alshon, where you're going through your whole progression, and he makes a great play. I think that was a big one. But guys made plays all day. You know, like Nelly at the end making that great catch, Ertz crossing face, catching one in traffic, and then Trey being aware when the coverage sort of broke down. And you just sort of see there's guys all around that can make plays. So that was a big part of today.
It was your first 4-touchdown game since Oakland back in 2013, I think. To not start a game for 14 months and then throw 4 touchdowns in your next start, how special is that for you?
It's really special. I mean, this whole journey and being back in Philly, it's crazy, if I'm being honest. Just wearing the Eagles jersey, to go back to Philly and wear it, I wear a lot. You know, I take a lot of pride in that. And you know, I can't say enough about our guys. I mean, they made some big plays today. Help with those touchdowns. I mean, made some big plays. But yeah, it's a special moment for sure.
Describe the moment when you had JPP in your face and you kind of deked him and then threw it to where, yeah.
I watch Carson a lot. I channel my inner Carson Wentz right there, and yeah, and just made a play. You know, just try to get him to move and step up, and then you know, if defender doesn't hold Torrey and hold his arms down, it's probably a touchdown. But Torrey did a great job fighting through. We get the call, get down there, and get this thing rolling.
Nick, you've been with some explosive offenses in the past, obviously 7 touchdowns that game. Carson throws 4 last week, you throw 4 this week. What is it about this offense that can make it so effective?
You just have guys that prepare throughout the week and work really hard and are on the same page. Our coaches schematically do a great job. I mean, we're very well coached. So going to work every day, you know that you're going to get the coach's best effort, and they're going to help you every single day. And that's something that, as athletes, that's what you want. But guys are where they're supposed to be. They understand the concepts. They understand what we're looking for. And the O-line, I mean, giving us time, I mean, those guys are amazing, and being able to run the ball. So that opens everything up, the run game. So all that combines into an offense that can put points on the board and guys believing in one another.
What does the first round bye mean?
I mean, it's obviously something great. I was fortunate to be a part of it last year in Kansas City, but I mean, we still have a lot of work to do this season. We can't focus on that. I think the big thing is you let your body recover. It's a long season, and guys who are nicked up can help with their injuries, but we have to finish these games out strong and keep improving. And for me, I just keep getting more reps and building this repetition with all these guys.
You got blindsided once early, but it seemed like for the most part protection was there. How'd you feel in the pocket?
Felt great. The guys did a wonderful job in the pocket. and gave me time. There was a couple times where I pushed up and got out just to change some throwing angles, but they did a great job.
I'll say especially about Chance and Big V over there.
Yeah, the story. I mean, guys having to step up. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy in this league. It's not easy to win in this league, especially with a conference rival. Those guys have Big V's done an amazing job. Chances, I've worked with them on scout team. I've seen him work every single day. I know Wiz helps them all the time. Going in there in this environment, they did an awesome job today.
Down 2 touchdowns, the field position you had, what was the value of that after the interception,
Oh.
the block punt?
Oh, it was huge. Darby getting that pick is, anytime a momentum can shift like that, it's huge for a team, and that's where you really, as a quarterback, you don't want to you want to be smart, but you want to be aggressive because like a touchdown right there is huge. Just with the momentum, it's a game of momentum, so that was a huge play in the game to get us going in the right direction.
Nick, was there anything this past week that made you feel like that you knew this was going to turn out the way it did, and you just felt comfortable, and you felt like Doug was giving you pretty much the full playbook, and
it just goes back to the preparation of our team, the coaching staff, the players. Anytime you can prepare every single day and do the extra things, it'll give you opportunity on game day to be successful. It doesn't always happen that way, but our coach do a great job of, once again, creating an atmosphere that guys work hard, they understand their job, they do the extra, maybe it's before the day starts or after practice or after the day, and they take care of their body. So all that gives you an opportunity on game day to be really successful. So we just have to keep doing those little things right.
Thanks, Nick.
Appreciate it, y'all.
All right, quarterback Nick Foles, after his 4-touchdown performance, his first such outing since, of course, the 7-touchdown game against Oakland, which just happens to be the Eagles' next opponent. So how fitting is that?
Yeah, so I should start Nick Foles next week, too, in my fantasy football league.
I'm guessing you're going to win thanks to Nick Foles. On the field fantasy, Nick Foles delivering for everyone.
The funny thing is, in all seriousness, you see how great this offense has been all year. The play calling, the play design. Carson was able to do what he did, put him to the forefront of the MVP conversation. Nick Foles comes in his first game, he's putting up staggering numbers. So when you think about it, this is just a well-oiled offensive machine. And while I don't want to take any credit away from the players, because you certainly need players to make the X's and O's go, but it certainly helps to have good offensive minds putting together a game plan and then knowing which plays to dial up when needed.
So coaching matters. That's the bottom line.
Coaching does
here.
matter, brother.
Okay, we were able to watch the game on TV, an experience like most Eagles fans out there, and it was a good experience. They had the highs, the lows, and everything. Most of the day, yes. But what was it like at MetLife Stadium from the radio booth? Right now, we're going to send it to Merrill Cam, presented by Sports Radio 94 WIP. We have a camera looking in on Merrill Reese and Mike Quick as they call the best plays from the Eagles' win over the Giants.
Manning, back again. Manning stepping up. He has time. He fires, and it is intercepted. It is Darby. Darby at the 40. Darby at the 35. Darby at the 30. Darby cuts back, goes to the 20. A brilliant interception and an even better run by Ronald Darby.
That's showing confidence in your defense by Doug Pederson, and Darby comes up huge, stepping in front of the throw and taking it back the other way. Eli intended it for Roger Lewis. The ball goes back the other way.
Foles backs up. Foles looks. Foles fires, and it is caught. Touchdown! Foles delivers to Ertz.
This is a great job. You've got to have the protection. Zach Ertz is going to get open versus this defense. When he's protected, you're going to have big plays like this. It's a great throw and catch, but the protection makes this play.
Absolutely. Wing into return. Barner. Wing. Gets it. It's blocked. It's blocked. And the Giants fall on the ball, but it goes over to the Eagles. Actually, the Eagles come up with it.
Come on.
Corey Clement is the one who comes up with it, and it was Camus Grugier-Hill who blocked it. Foles back. Foles look. Foles fires. And it is caught. Aguilar, touchdown. He went up and pulled it down.
Oh, I love that. What a great job, Nelson Aguilar, going up over the defender and taking the football. That's not making a catch. That's taking the football.
Thanks again to Sports Radio 94 WIP for providing us with Merrill Cam. Always fun to see there. It's not always the most glamorous. That's the one thing you know is at the link, you know, it's much more roomier, you know, much more comfortable looking. You go to some of these road cities and it's just crampy in a closet basically. So especially the division rivals, they don't want the Eagles broadcasters, even a Hall of Famer like Merrill Reese, to have any comfortable conditions whatsoever. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a lot more discussion about the game, about Nick Foles, the run game, what's happened with the defense moving forward. But first, we're going to say goodbye to our friends. If you're following us on Facebook or Twitter, you can come on over to the Eagles app or PhiladelphiaEagles.com to check out the rest of the show. So much more to get into as we break down the Eagles' 34-29 victory over the New York Giants, including the All-22 review presented by Ricoh, coming up right after this.